And we welcome you into yet another edition of the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead Show. I'm on location at Quaker Steak and Lube. Goon, where are you at today?
With the Goon. The Goon
Wait, the Goon's right here. It's
right
really
here,
him in the flesh.
Flesh and blood.
So cool to have you here.
Yes. We can go live picture to the home. I got the little puppy is in. We have her in a playpen.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's where she's going to be for an hour and 20 minutes alone. So she's all right. She's all right. She can't do any damage. She's covered in covers and pillows. So
always good when the pooch can't do damage or get damaged, as the case may be.
Talk about frustrating on Tuesday, trying to talk to you guys.
Believe me, over the years, the technology issues we've had, some of the stories with the radio station and obviously internet technology are even more at the mercy of just how the technological gods are working that
day. But just so you know, my tablet from 2014 is still booting right now as we speak. It's been booting for 2 days now. What was funny is I watched the replay of the show, and some of those still shots I got with the eyes rolling in the back of the head and like 7 to 8 chins hanging out.
Good luck.
I mean, they hid the other 3. I mean, I have 10 to 11 chins, and they only showed 7 to 8 at one time. But it was bad. I was better off just like leave it blank and let me talk on the phone. But been a pretty weird few weeks, since we've been together.
It has been.
Jeez Louise.
Just a lot of strange things, and I'm not even predicting. We'll just see what the future holds here in terms of how the pandemic and related issues go. The supreme optimism that was reigning earlier this summer in terms of everything getting back to normal has been brought to a screeching halt. Again, everybody's still hopeful. I don't know. I don't know what this is all going to look like as we roll into the fall and then into the winter. And I feel like we're kind of back to where we were at the start, where predictions are all over the place, and everybody is, you listen to 10 different people, and it's 10 different predictions about what's going to happen or how this could unfold or what should happen. So we'll see how it all plays out.
I'm just glad that we got that White House briefing yesterday, because there's nothing else going on in the whole world. And I'm happy we got a briefing from the idiot in charge for our booster shots. So I was things are looking up for this country and this world here.
Yeah,
my Lord.
It is just amazing that
18 days, Ironhead, 18 days
perspectives. Yeah, and I'll tell you, from a Penn State football perspective, I mean, we've been talking a little bit about areas we feel confident in, areas of concern, keys to the whole thing. I still think it's just so interesting, because that Wisconsin game to me, on one hand, is everything. On the other hand, it really is, in the overall scheme, not a big deal, win or lose. Now, if you get blown out, it's a big deal, but I don't. I don't really foresee that situation developing.
Yeah.
But a close loss there, again, is far from devastating in terms of what Penn State can do. It's just a win there really does set everything up so beautifully for the remainder of the season, and for, again, that momentum. I keep coming back to it, and probably spending too much time on what I think of the significance of it. But I really do think, with what you're seeing in the recruiting trail right now, with the way last season ended, and just that overall feeling right now about Penn State football, that a win there just again, it's not that a loss is devastating, because it's you're at a higher ranked opponent, right, on the road against a higher ranked opponent. That's not a devastating loss, and as we've talked about, you could still end up. You could still end up winning the whole thing. Yeah. I mean, ultimately, so that it's again, not by any stretch the end of the world, but it just feels like a win there does so much to just continue to build upon the excitement that I think is there right now within the fan base, within the program. And, I think if you come home and take care of business, and that's a big if for me, is still that Ball State game. But then I think you really do set up very nicely going into what's going to be a very tough October. We spent so much time talking about September, and listen, that's where everybody's focus ought to be right now. Obviously, certainly the players. But listen, October, for as difficult as September is, and it is, but really, October is a tougher overall road to haul. I mean, Wisconsin, again, we'll see how Wisconsin shakes out in terms of how the overall season progresses. But, I don't think Auburn is a national title contender, is an SEC title contender this year. Still a very good team.
Sneaky.
I mean, I still think
new coach sneaky type of thing.
Yeah, and that's the thing. You don't know exactly. I think that's the bigger concern. But, if that Auburn game was the opening game, right, there's more concern there because you're not exactly sure what wrinkles might be thrown in terms of scheme and all that. But you're going to see them a couple of times on film before you face them, and you're at least going to have an idea, okay, this is what we're expecting in terms of general, formations, schemes, all of that.
And there our third game, which is your improvement from week 1 to week 2 is your big thing.
Yeah, so and again, I keep going back to it, but night game and presuming that the fans are there as is currently planned, like that is that atmosphere is just it's just hard for me to see again how Auburn comes in and gets out of here with a W. Not impossible, but
you're talking about us going to Wisconsin. It's a tough place to play. I mean, this is not a whiteout, and you've never been up here.
Yeah,
it's going to be very imposing for that Auburn team. So, I have every indication in my world that it is going to happen. So, I got to talk to you. So last night, middle of the night, I'm up, and the 2020 Games of the Years was on. And it was an SEC game, I think. I mean, it could have been somebody else. And they had the top 10 come up. And we hadn't started to play yet. And I was like, holy crap, I forgot. We didn't play in September last year. We didn't play till October, right?
Yeah.
We were 9th in the country.
Yeah.
It was week 2 or 3. Well, and, we deserve – I was mad the other day that I think that we're drastically underranked at 19, but we're exactly where we deserve to be after last year.
Yeah.
Whereas in the last year's ranking was an indication of the year before, in my opinion, winning the Cotton Bowl, a lot of guys coming back. So 9th was a pretty good, and we were bad last year as a team. And then we deserve like I said, if you read any of the notes of the show, I was sending you guys during the show that I think it was criminal that we were 19. But the more I think about it, the 19 is about right. It's what we deserve and what we've earned after last year's debacle. But I did forget about that whole month of September being off. We didn't start until October and played late into December. I completely forgot about all that.
Yeah.
What a year.
And it was just such a different season in so many different ways. Things that you thought were going to gel just didn't for whatever reason. And again, there are a whole host of things that I think contributed to it.
The add-on game at the end of the season?
Yeah.
Try that now. I mean, that's like you can't do that.
Yeah, I am
crazy.
I am really curious to see how some things shake out. Not just with Penn State, obviously, certainly with Penn State, but how some things shake out on the national stage this year. I was kind of joking around about it's nice to see so many new faces in that top 5. It's the same top 5, generally speaking, that we've had for the last 5 or 6 years, right? I mean, it's
go to the top 20, go back 25, 30 years, every 10, 15. It's sort of the same teams. I did see Coastal Carolina was the one that was high for me in that top 15 this year.
Yeah. Yeah, and listen, I think that from of the teams that are just presumed to be the contenders every year, right? You now just assume that Alabama, Ohio State, Georgia,
Clemson,
Oklahoma, Clemson, that they're all going to be at least in the mix somewhere and at least contending. Texas A&M is getting a lot of preseason love, and understandably so. I am really curious to see how that program handles now the Jimbo Fisher's used to it. That program isn't used to being a marquee, perennial power.
The hunted.
Perennial, playoff contender.
Yep.
Which I think is now, I think that's where they are / going to be here for the next few years anyway. But it'll be interesting to see kind of how they handle that. And, the SEC and the Big Ten still, to me, both those conferences, there just are not a lot of easy dates. There's still a few in there for both.
Yeah.
But not too many. And I think, you have that one-off game. It's one of the more remarkable things. Clemson has had some faults along the way in the ACC. Alabama really has not had many at all. And in the SEC, that is impressive. Because everybody has Bama circled on the calendar, and they have Clemson circled too in the ACC. But again, the overall caliber of football, to me, in the SEC and Big Ten right now is clearly a little step up from everybody else in terms of overall consistency and that top to bottom strength of power.
I agree.
Within the program.
You're not hiding from anybody in the Big Ten. I mean, you're good. I mean, who are the Vanderbilts, the Tennessees, who's down right now? Your Kentucky, your Missouri, but they're all capable.
Yeah.
I mean, Mississippi State and Mississippi are highly improved. I mean, the SEC is loading up, man. And you're right. They're getting to that point where Alabama is going to have to do it week in, week out, and they're going to trip up every once in a while.
I am interested to see what Kentucky does with Will Levis. If you didn't see, he's been named the starter down there, the former Nittany Lion, and they were.
I wonder if he could throw
I think they were dead last, right, in throwing last year.
Could he throw the ball? I've never seen him actually try to throw a ball.
Well, this is going to be the interesting thing because what they're saying is that he has separated himself from the other two quarterback contenders down there with his arm as well as his legs, and I'm really curious to see whether or not that their passing game improves significantly, or whether they just, hey, we are all in on the run, and let's see if he can make some things happen with his feet and power his way through some opportunities here.
It'd be interesting to see him actually play quarterback and not just take the read option, run the quarterback up the middle type of thing. That's all they're asking to do last year, but it will be interesting to see that and to see if he can last the whole season, because you can't play that physical game the way you can't play that power game as a quarterback in the SEC and expect to get through all 12 games. It can't happen. It will be interesting.
Very unlikely.
Will be interesting to see, and I hope he does well because I always liked him. I just don't think he was ever used correctly here.
I agree on all accounts. Very likable kid. I think he's got a lot of ability, and it'll be interesting to see with that Kentucky program, which is, kind of middle of the pack in the SEC, which, again, as we keep talking about, you got to be pretty good to be middle of the pack in the SEC or the Big Ten. That's not a bad spot in terms of your overall program strength to be. But, the expectations are also part of the equation, and it is really interesting to me to see, as you were saying, Penn State 19th, that is not the expectation of the fans at Penn State. But how does this team, this program rebound? Again, it built on the momentum from the end of last year. The recruiting front has been very strong. And again, I think if you get off to that early start, that recruiting just starts to build on itself. And again, I think the future, near future for Penn State is about as bright as it could be if you can get off to, again, that undefeated September start. Get off to the 4-0 start and then build on that and see what else can develop.
Completely agree. I mean, the end-all game is not going to be Wisconsin. You said it exactly correct. You go out there and get blown out, you're going to hear about that, if there is we do go 11-1 from there.
Sure.
Oh, but their one loss was Wisconsin by 30 points. You can't have that. Right. So I'm okay I feel pretty good. I mean, we're going to get into predictions of this team or whatever. We could do that, but I'm telling you, I don't think James liked last year's team personally. I really don't. I don't like if he liked the character of the team, the guys on the team, the players, the coaches. Who knows? And I just feel like he just sat back last year, said, we're not going to a bowl game, and said, we're changing the attitude around here. Because you didn't hear anything this offseason.
No.
You know, usually he's more vocal. He's out and about more and this and that. He wasn't doing anything. Those guys were working, and he was obviously working on the recruiting trail because they killed recruiting. And I just have a feeling, like you guys were saying the other day about that 85 team that no one expected much out of. I am very, very much on board with that analogy on this team.
Yeah.
I really am.
I'm kind of with you, and the more I've been sitting down, I was kind of just sitting down and looking at the different positions this week and just trying to what realistically what do you expect from this group and that group, and as we've talked about the running backs. Here's what I'm really curious to see with the Wisconsin game, because I know what I want to see. And I don't know whether or not one, it's realistic, or two, it's their best option. But what I would love to see early in that Wisconsin game is Penn State take control of the line of scrimmage. I mean, love to see it on both sides of the ball. And listen, I mean, any football fan at any level wants to see that from their team on both sides. But if Penn State can really establish the run and stop the run, and to me, it might be stopping the run that's the bigger question mark of those two for me going into this season. Not that I'm, supremely confident the running game is going to be fantastic, but I just think there's so much talent in that backfield, and this is an offensive line now that has enough talent / experience that it ought to be taking that next step. And as you were talking about, I forget if it was Tuesday or last week, but it feels like there's a better chemistry between the players and the coaches right now with that group, with the offensive line core, and a better understanding of, okay, this is what is expected and this is what we're capable of doing. And listen, Wisconsin is not the place where you normally go out and establish the line of scrimmage, right? Wisconsin,
that's what they do.
Historically, both sides of the ball, that is the strength of that program, is offensive line and defensive line. And the offensive line for years has been just truly remarkable. I mean, it's been an NFL factory for offensive linemen.
True.
But I think if Penn State, and again, big but if Penn State can establish that line of scrimmage early, right, it sets everything else up offensively. I'm talking now. It sets everything else up for Sean Clifford in that offense, because I think the receiving core is good. Yep. There are some guys that are going to have to play themselves into being experienced good, but the talent is certainly there in that receiving core to do something special.
I commented the other day when you guys were talking about it and about Clifford, and I'm saying I compared him to Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott is such a better quarterback when he has that play-action option.
Yeah.
You have to have that run game. Sean Clifford can throw a great deep ball. We knew that from his freshman year when he came in from McSorley a couple times, right? I mean, he's very impressive. Was that who he replaced McSorley, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So we knew that coming in, but, I mean, if you don't have a run game or the threat of a run game, your play actions doesn't mean crap. It really doesn't. So we need to go out there, establish the run, which is a lot easier said than done, but you have a veteran offensive line now, obviously a great core of tight ends, because you're talking about producing offensive linemen in Wisconsin. We're producing tight ends in the NFL at a record pace right now. Yeah,
and listen, I don't know that they have anybody that is as complete as Pat Freiermuth in terms of the overall game, and obviously Freiermuth in the passing game was just exceptional. But I do think they have better depth than they've had in quite a while, and that is a loaded position also is tight end. And that is the other thing here for Sean Clifford, is that there should be an unpredictable offense, right? I mean, it really should be, because again, you do have an offensive line that should be productive. if not dominant, at least productive. And because of the depth in that backfield and the depth within the receiving core and what you have at tight end, you ought to be able to if you need to dink and dunk defenses to death, right? Like with that talent spread out along the offense, there's got to be somebody open, whether it's an outlet back or tight end in the middle or one of the receivers. There should be players open anytime you are going to throw the ball. And again, if they can establish that running game early, and that has to be part of the game plan, right? Is I don't know that you necessarily come out and your first 6 or 7 plays or runs, but although I got to tell you, I would love to see it myself, and love to see it more if you're picking up a couple of first downs with just pounding it.
Sure.
And then again, I think everything else opens up if you're able to do that offensively. And again, I think defensively, this is going to be a very interesting team to watch. And I'm really curious to see how they kind of mix and match what they're doing with the defensive line and the linebacking core in different situations and against different teams. Because I do think there's I think it is going to be more maybe than we're used to seeing in terms of situational players on the field with that front 7 in particular.
Sure.
And listen, with the depth in the secondary, again, the nice thing there is I think much like the defensive linemen have been in a rotation, I think you can do that with the secondary and keep those guys fresh. And I don't think there's much of a drop-off at many, if any, of those 4 spots in the secondary right now.
I go back to I really like this team. I think this might be I think it's going to be one of his best coaching jobs because I really believe that he has something to prove this year. He has.
He thinks that too.
Yeah, I know.
Right.
Yeah, I definitely think that.
Yeah.
But our defense is going to be agile, hostile. I don't think we're going to be the biggest guys out there in the world, but I know we got to use our speed, and that is blitz, blitz, blitz. And then Brett Pry does a really good job with the blitz. But if you're going to blitz people, what do you got to have? You better have some pretty good defensive backs because you're going to put them out on the line. You get a couple guys out there who can cover man to man. That changes your whole defense up.
Listen, the biggest thing to me, and this isn't, again, any startling revelation, anybody that follows football to any degree knows the importance of turnovers. But for me, the biggest improvement this team has to make from last season to this upcoming one is in the turnover battle. And it's both sides of the ball. That depth in the secondary has to reveal itself. And what you're talking about with Brett Pry and the defensive system. Listen, anymore in college football, I mean, there was a time when in those big games, right, it was you had to hold your opponent under 21. Like 3 touchdowns was kind of the make or break point. Forget about it. Not in this era of football where everything is favoring the offense. What it is about to me is you're going to give up points. I mean, you're not going to face an Ohio State or an Indiana right now or any top team with a good offense. You are going to give up some yards and you're going to give up some points. Now, do you want to limit that? Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
You want to stop some drives for sure. On downs, absolutely. But to me, the key is getting 2 or 3 turnovers in those big games. And on the other side of the ball, again, protecting and not giving it up. You win by any margin, but you get +2 or better in the turnover margin, you're winning those games 9 times out of 10.
Every big game
everything else is relatively even, which, again, do I think Ohio State has a little more overall talent than Penn State? Yep, I do. There's, if you go player by player, there's more depth right now in that Ohio State program. There's not another team on the schedule that I'm looking at and saying, yep, they have better depth, better overall talent than Penn State. Again, you can probably argue one way or the other with some programs here or there, Wisconsin being one of them. But and I don't think it's a huge gap between Ohio State and Penn State, but I do think it's a gap. But again, you win that turnover battle. You don't give up any or only give up one, and you get 3+ in those games. That's the difference to me, and that's where I think Penn State. You get your hands on the ball, you've got to bring it in, right? This is one of those years where you've got to take advantage of the opportunities when they present themselves. If the ball's on the ground, you have to be the team that dives on it and get those fumbles. And again, I'm talking about in the games that are meaningful, the impact games, the Ohio States, and
I just want to see a defense that goes out there and says, "You're not going to run the ball on us," and just sells out.
Yep.
Guys who go out there and and they can make a big play for blitzing and this and that, but if they need to play a stationary defense and just play a base defense and get after it and get it there, I would love to see that. I don't think we've had that recently.
And I think you've got to be the mindset to me has to be, and this is unlike what I grew up with, and it's been a change for me, but I think you have to be okay with occasionally. Again, you don't want to be giving up 4 or 5 a game, but with that mentality that, yep, they're going to burn us every now and then. You're going to sell out, and man, they're going to have the right call, and you're going to give up the 80-yard touchdown. That's part of the game because you're banking on, hey, we're going to get a couple at some point, and you've got to be good enough, both talent and scheme-wise, to make that happen. But you also do have to understand, you are going to give up some plays.
Yep.
That's just the other side of it. It's
they're all scholarship
about
players
making
too,
more plays than you're giving up, right?
Exactly. You got to steal a couple possessions here and there with some turnovers, like you just said. That would be an absolute perfect world, is winning the turnover battle in big games. And on the road, opening game of the year. Yeah, I mean, fans are back for the first time in 2 years. A lot could happen in this game, so I hope that we're ready for this. I mean, I hope that the guys are going to be prepared for it. But it's not an easy place to play. Never has been, never will be. And again, I mean, our fans are back for the first time in 2 years, and we're not used to playing in front of fans. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how both teams handle it.
Yeah, and this is one of the few times that I am glad it's an early kick for Penn State. I know historically the early kick road games are a concern, but to me, this is a couple of components to it. And listen, the fans at all of these early season games are going to be rabid. But do I want to face Camp Randall Stadium with only having a couple of hours to get yourself geared up for the game? I'm talking about the fans. Sure. Or, a 3:30 kick or a night game. Nope, I'm good with the early kick there. They're not going to be as and again, they're going to be jacked. I'm not saying in any way that this is going to be not a wild scene at Camp Randall. But again, I would rather see that fan base at noon Eastern time than I would any other time of the day.
You been? As a fan or as a media?
Media, yeah.
It's unbelievable. I mean, I went one time. This was it was 11 after when the scandal broke. We went out there and Scrap was the coach. And it was just a bad scene. We left at halftime because our guys didn't want to be there. But besides all that, it's like bars are just completely packed.
Yeah.
And it's like 15 minutes to kick. It's almost like a whistle blows or something. And everybody just marches out. And they get after it, man.
Cool city, too.
It's very. I mean, think about College Ave. If there's not much tailgate. There's no tailgate. There's hardly any. Yeah. But imagine if College Ave and Beaver Ave were with it. Well, I mean, it's pretty damn close.
Yeah.
I mean, if the bars just emptied out and just everybody walked into the game, that's what Madison is.
But the other thing is, I think for Penn State, I think they are going to be choppy. I'm with you. I think we both firmly believe James Franklin is going to have this team as ready. Again, not guaranteeing a win by any stretch, but I am. I think they are going to be dialed in, coaches and players alike. And I think with that. Right, you don't want to be sitting around you want to wake up and let's do this. And I think that early kick works in Penn State's favor in both their ability to be ready, because it can be tough, especially with those early season big games. The Auburn game. I mean, it's going to be tough for both of those teams. It always is for those
waiting
night
around
games
all day.
to not to conserve your energy and not and have your body and mind ready to go. As a
player, it just absolutely
it's a
sucks.
Difficult thing.
You sit in your hotel room and they say, okay, breakfast is at 9. We're going to have meetings after. We're going to have a lunch at 1 or 2, and then we're going to have meetings after that. Then we got church services. Then we got pregame meal. And you're just like, Jesus, let's just go freaking play the game. Let's go do it. And you just sit there and you're watching games, and Joe's like, yeah, get your head in the game, And you're watching Florida State, Miami on television. You're into it. You know what I mean? You're not thinking about your game. And I will say that the bigger games, that's a lot easier to get your head wrapped around. But so I don't. Again, this game is so big, and I think our guys realize this, and I think that James realizes it, the importance of it. And I just think that they're just playing the whole. Okay, we're 19. Okay, we got to show them. They're disrespecting us. We got to go from here.
Yeah, I'm. I don't know. I am comfortable and confident with that game and the situation. Now, you got to see how everybody handles the next couple of weeks in terms of injuries are obviously always a concern going into any season or any game, and you got to see how everything plays out between now and then. But right now, just a good feeling about this team, and again, I think it's a good spot for Penn State to be in, because you are going to be the underdog. It is a road game, so a win here is all the more impressive, right? It's amplified from what a normal, even good conference win would be in a season.
I said it earlier in the summer, and it wasn't the right time to say it, but right now is, and that is that Wisconsin came in and took the number 1 recruit out of this state last year.
Yep.
In Nolan Rucci. Todd Rucci's son. Todd played with me here at Penn State.
Yep.
That was a coup. An absolute coup. They took one of the best wide receivers in Pittsburgh right now is going out there. You need to go out there and smack them in the nose like you do a puppy when they pee on the ground. I mean, you gotta go out there and say, you know what, you can't come into Pennsylvania and take our players out like you have been. You have to go. We have to go out there and prove to them, like, hey, you're not in the same ballpark as us. You should not be on the same field as us. I mean, I know it's Wisconsin and it's a pretty damn good football team, but you still have to act like that, and that's how it has to be when it comes to recruiting. It's a huge, huge game. If you add in all those little ramifications into there, I mean, if we go out there, we lose to Wisconsin, you're gonna lose New Jersey, New York, Pennsylvania, Maryland, Virginia. They'll be in there. Why are you looking at Penn State? We beat the crap out of them last year.
Yep.
It's huge, and they already have a foothold in Pennsylvania. We can't allow it anymore. We got to take that back. And I know that's in Franklin's head.
Oh yeah.
So it's a game time yet, man. It's a game time.
Not soon enough.
Damn.
We'll take a break here. We'll talk some Steelers and Eagles when we come back. Also want to talk a little bit about the Nebraska situation.
I wanted to talk to you about that.
The investigation going on out there, as well as we continue with the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show after this.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local Lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tap Room, we say,
Tell him Johnny sent you.
and remember,
And we welcome you back into the Lion Country Kia Goon and Ironhead show. We are coming to you from Quaker Steak and Lube and getting ready for college football. Nebraska has been an interesting story, Goon, really ever since Tom Osborne left. And we go back to expectations and fan bases and, at places like Penn State, rightfully or wrongfully, I mean, there was an expectation that Penn State should be, in contention, at least as often as not, for a Big Ten title and a college football playoff spot. I mean, I don't know that the fan base necessarily expects Penn State to be Alabama or Clemson in there every year. But I think, out of a 5-year run, the fans expect you to be in contention
Correct.
at least 3 of those years. And to be in there at least 1 or 2 of those.
And do it the right way.
Like that's the
do it the right way.
expectation. And absolutely do it the right way. Nebraska's interesting because with the way, things evolve and change, and with the recruiting structure that's in place now, and Nebraska's in the Big Ten, so now there is no Texas school in the Big Ten as of now. We'll see how everything pans out here post Texas and Oklahoma departure for the SEC. So that could change. And listen, I think it would help. It would help the Big Ten as a whole, but I think it would help in particular a school like Nebraska, which had, when it was in the Big 8, right? I mean, Texas was a pretty strong recruiting area for Nebraska. It has not been nearly as much so in recent years. But, it goes back to expectations again, and what's reasonable or, what should be expected from a fan base of a program. And, I'm not going to sit here and tell you that if you get the right coach, that it's impossible for Nebraska to contend regularly for Big Ten titles. But I think it is a much tougher road right now for whoever coaches Nebraska. I mean, Scott Frost at the moment, but whether it was, Bo Pelini or Frank Solich or, again, whoever and whenever the next coach is.
Who replaced Osborne?
It's Solich was right, wasn't it?
And who replaced him? Who's the one who just put it in the grave? Yes, sir.
Oh, yeah.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
How not to change a program. That should be like the book that they should write there. But sorry, but Frank Solich. I mean, that goes back to that. I mean, he was a 10 win 3 years in a row, and they fired him because they weren't winning national titles because of Tom Osborne. You know how long they waited for a national title from Tom Osborne?
Well, and so this is the interesting thing, right? So they got rid of Solich, and then. And as you said, 10-win seasons. Pelini comes in, 9-win seasons. Definitely got to get rid of him.
Oh, he's too angry.
Frost is dreaming of 9-win seasons at Nebraska. So they keep slipping. And listen, I thought Scott Frost was a great hire.
Yep.
I do wonder.
You're on record for that, Ironhead.
Well, and I am. And listen, with good reason, right? I mean, he had a great resume at Central Florida, and he had a legacy at Nebraska.
Sure.
But I do wonder, and listen, at the time, and financially, you understand why Scott Frost made the move. I do wonder if you got truth serum or Wonder Woman's lasso on Scott Frost, because he had a great situation at Central Florida, right? Like they were going to be 10-win winners very consistently if he had stayed there, and have had success without it.
They dominated Florida recruiting.
So I think he had, a really good situation there, and again, you understand why he made the move, and I don't think anybody faults him for it. But I just wonder if with the way everything has played out, if he had to do it over again, if you wouldn't just go ahead and take the very nice situation that you had developed at Central Florida. Because here's the thing. It's very difficult and, easier for sure in the Big Ten West to make that move up. And it's why I still think Nebraska can be a dangerous team here, a dangerous program in the West. But it's not easy. It's not easy in either division. But listen, you have Ohio State, which is clearly the marquee program, first and foremost. And you've got the next two biggest name programs. And Wisconsin fans, I hear you and I understand you are demonstrably better than Michigan in terms of, the last decade and what you have to show for it. But I'm just telling you, the name, the recognition, it's Ohio State, Michigan, Penn State. Those are the three. And again, you can make the argument Iowa and Wisconsin right up there in terms of actual accomplishment on the field. But again, would you rather be going against, as difficult as it is, and it is difficult, Wisconsin, Iowa, Minnesota, you want to go against those programs versus Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan. Michigan State, throw it in there for good measure. So I think Nebraska's in the right division to try to make that move. But in the Big Ten, Nebraska, I think, has the toughest road on the recruiting front because their recruiting imprint, their traditional recruiting ground,
completely got thrown up.
Yeah, is not there. Yeah. And very difficult to pull kids in. Not impossible, but difficult to pull kids in from Texas when, again, the SEC's there in Texas. The Big 12 is there. The Pac-12, it's I think an easier sell even there for those Texas kids than it is for Nebraska when you're in terms of, hey, yeah, you can come as family members, watch your team. Well, the haul to California, it's a haul from Texas to California. I get it, but it's not the haul that Ohio and Pennsylvania is on a Rutgers or Maryland. Whatever.
We talked. I've said it. There is that lull that what happens when you join a new conference is that you lose your footprint in your recruiting world. We lost it. There was that reason. There was that 8 to 10 year window of like when you join the Big Ten to when your issues start to happen, and that was because we invited Ohio State, Michigan, Wisconsin, Iowa, Ohio. All these teams into Pennsylvania, New Jersey, Maryland, and Virginia, our hotbeds. That's where we got all our players from. We hit a really rough patch there, and we got out of it, thank God, in 2005.
Yep.
Nebraska's still waiting for their 2005. So I got one to blow your mind, Ironhead.
Okay.
I think Nebraska wants rid of Scott Frost. I think they turned themselves into the NCAA about violations because it saves them a ton of money if he's fired with cause. They don't have the athletic director who hired him, Moose or Who's or whatever, is gone. Trev Alberts is there now.
Yeah.
I know a little bit about Trev Alberts. He's, begins with a T and ends with an L, the tool. That's just my personal opinion of the guy. And I don't think that he and Scott Frost really mesh. Scott Frost is all about being the Tom Osborne type of guy. Trev Alberts is going to say, we're going to go back to the black shirts and this and that. But I don't think he personally wants that. When Scott Frost says we don't need to have this, these trophies or these slogans or something this or that to get our guys riled up. We need to do that on our own. If I need to do that, I'm recruiting the wrong kids. I think that's what he said.
Yeah.
He's not buying into the big aspect, the big part of that program. And, there's a $20 million buyout for Scott Frost if he's fired without cause before next year. That's a pretty big reason to get rid of that guy. That's really ridiculous. And we have said for 3 years now, I love the hiring of Scott Frost out there. He's the perfect guy for out there. But I don't know if Trev Alberts is he the one pulling the strings right now? Then I don't know. I just can't imagine who would want to turn Nebraska in for illegal this or that. Somebody who doesn't have like an axe to grind. It's something really weird that's going on out there. I think that somebody wants rid of Scott Frost. I really do.
Yeah, and it's interesting. I don't know how big of a deal at the end of the day that the charges, even if proven true, and Frost is saying everything was sanctioned and authorized by the administration, and he was which is interesting, trying to throw people that are no longer there under the bus. But regardless of how that played out, I mean, how much of a competitive advantage is gained by, and I get being able to have the in-person workouts if you're off campus, but it's a pain in the neck to get all of those kids off campus, and I just don't know how much. And the results, I mean, would tell you it didn't help you that much. And I don't know enough about the. I don't think when you were playing, right, we didn't have any of the consultants and analysts. No. I mean, I don't think Joe Paterno.
We had 9 assistants.
I don't know if he ever had. Now, Franklin, Brian had a couple, and I mean, and everybody. I know. I don't even know what the numbers are. I know you're allowed so many analysts now in and around the program, but they can't be
the guys who are analysts.
They can't be coaching, meaning they can't be out there on the field demonstrating.
Yes.
They can tell the coaches, hey, this is how I would be utilizing this personnel. I'm watching
Saints coach.
They can watch the practices and they can, feed the information to the coaches. Yeah.
Jim Haslett was here.
Yeah.
So there's a guy who gets fired from the NFL. Not Lovey. Bengals coach is at Arizona State right now.
Marvin Lewis.
Yeah.
Marvin Lewis is working out as a because he's still getting paid by the Bengals. So they go and do these consulting jobs with their buddies, and but they can't coach in the field. But they can be in the room and saying, "Hey, look at this film here, look at this." But they're, I don't know. I haven't seen it. I don't know the rules of it. I mean, we were pretty 9 coaches, 3 GAs, and this, and then they knocked the whole GAs thing down by the time I was here.
Yeah.
But the consultant that you can have unlimited, right? Because doesn't Alabama have
No, I think there is I think it's a high number, but I don't
30.
think it's no. I think there is a limit, at least in terms of what you can have on the payroll.
Well, they're not on the payroll. They're still getting paid by the NFL teams.
Well, yeah, but I think there is a limit on the numbers that you can have.
Bill is a full-time coach with the Bama, right? Okay, he's the OC. He's not a consultant. He's the OC.
Yeah.
Interesting to see down there.
But so the infractions, at least on the surface, to me, I seem relatively minor. I mean, I don't know that this is.
I was away when Baylor got their absolute butts handed to them by the NCAA when I was on vacation when that came out. Devastating. How do you come back from a $5,000 fine?
Yeah, it's
that's a disgrace.
Laying the hammer down. Well, I mean, North Carolina is still
that's the they learned
the epitome of
I hate the fact that the BCS and the Bowl Coalition is all formed because of the 1999 team. Everything, we always get screwed on all these different crap, and then the sanctions that got levied against Joe and Penn State were in November, and they were handed down in July.
Yeah.
I mean, come on. I mean, that Baylor thing was 3 years ago. Art Briles is now, imagine the lawsuit he's going to get because he can't coach. It's just like the North Carolina is the absolute epitome of how the NCAA has absolutely no teeth. Nothing. It's just embarrassing and sad.
I mean, that was an absolute flaunting of I mean, it's the ultimate breaking of rules, right? To create an opportunity just for student athletes, quote unquote, student athletes to
I love
just
their
be
excuse.
able to play.
Well, it wasn't just for athletes; other kids could join a fake class too. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah, I don't know.
So I just my personal opinion is I think that Scott Frost has made enemies at Nebraska, and I think they want. I mean, as crazy as that sounds, I just think that they want him gone.
Well, and here, so
crazy.
Presuming that is correct, and however this plays out, they are able to who is it that Nebraska goes after that you say, man, that guy is going to have Nebraska. I don't even know what the ceiling, the realistic ceiling is for Nebraska. Again, I think any of these teams, any of these programs, at least in the Power 5, right, could have that magical year. So do I say that, under no circumstances will Nebraska ever compete for a national title? No, I think literally any of these programs could get everything together right for that 1 year. You can get the right mix of seniors. You have a class that comes through, and you get, and especially now with the transfers, you get the right couple of fits, and you have that magical season that everybody will forever remember. I think that is possible.
Sure.
For any of these programs. But in terms of, I just don't think it's realistic for Nebraska fans to expect right now that program, and I don't care who the coach is. I'm struggling to come up with a coach that I think would have consistent, when I say success, I mean get them into the Big Ten championship game more than a couple of times over a 10-year period.
I got one name, and it's every Big Ten team that's going to open up, you're going to say Luke Fickell should go there.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion because he's that type of guy.
Yeah.
It seems like his type of program. You're going to constantly say his name until he gets a big job. I mean, Cincinnati is obviously in the top 15, so I mean, he's obviously doing a hell of a job. But you're going to hear his name recycled. But you asked, who do you think? And I think that he would possibly be a fit there.
Yeah, that is that would be.
You're not going to have it in these. I don't know who else. I really don't. I mean,
that's a good one. I hadn't even.
People always say, do I hate Nebraska? And I say, I don't hate Nebraska. Because of what they did it's not their fault. Right?
No, and actually, I've always liked
have too.
The Nebraska fans. The 82 game, we had so much fun in the parking lots. I mean, I was 13 years old, but I loved, there was good-natured ribbing, but I mean, it was genuinely good-natured. Nebraska and Alabama fans both are among my all-time favorite fans because they love the sport, love their teams, but they're not. Every fan base has its knuckleheads. Penn State has plenty of them, obviously.
I hate them,
but the overall, again, that's all personal experience, right? So maybe it's all anecdotal. But the Nebraska and the Alabama fans are among my favorite fan bases.
I'm interested to see the Auburn
for
fans.
interaction. Yeah, I'm curious to see. I'm curious to see how well they travel for this game, and yeah, I will be curious to see when we had the. What was it? The Outback Bowl we played them in. It was we had good interactions down there. I like
the rain.
I like the SE. Oh yeah,
that was my last game.
Is that right?
Oh yeah,
yeah.
That was the greatest game ever.
Through.
Joe all week constantly. It's a Goon story time, Booch. All week, speed. It's all he was worried about was Taquillo spikes and that defense at Auburn. They're how fast they were. The night before the game, you're like, it's not going to stop raining until tomorrow night. You're like, well, I guess they don't have speed anymore. It was fifth-year seniors across the board going against young dudes, and it was men beating up boys is what it was. What happened that game? So
no, that was the game,
that game, Joe,
where the line of scrimmage was definitely controlled. That no doubt about that. Before we wrap things up today, just. Can I tell you that the closer we're getting, and this is just, I'm an optimist by nature, so I'm getting more and more excited about what I think the possibilities are here for Penn State. But as we get closer, I love what the Steelers' moves have been. That linebacking core, the pass coverage component was the biggest concern, right, coming off of last season, and they've at least addressed it. Now we'll see how it works out, but I love the signing. I think they are rightfully going all in on this season, and then again you'll regroup. I'm not saying it's this year and then forget about it, but they feel. I think you can clearly see that the Steelers organization feels they are a legitimate Super Bowl threat this year, and they are going to do everything they can to try to capitalize on that opportunity.
I think they know they realize the time's ticking. The clock's ticking.
Well, for sure, with Big Ben, it is. And again, you don't know whether or not that, I'm not completely willing at this point to say that they don't have the next quarterback on the roster. I'm not very confident that either Mason Rudolph or Dwayne Haskins is going to be that next guy.
Yeah.
Haskins has some physical tools for sure, but Again, I'm not, and Rudolph has done enough that I'm not, again, completely convinced that one of those guys can't be the long-term next guy up at QB, but I don't have a lot of confidence that either of those guys are it. I do think everything else is in place to keep this thing rolling, but it's just, I mean, you've got to have the quarterback that makes it go, and
your defense will be
you
fine.
have that.
You got to
right
worry
now
about
with
your
Big
offensive
Ben.
line. I think.
Well,
that's your key.
And I think that O-line. I'm really curious. Much like Penn State,
yes.
I'm really, because I'm optimistic that I like the moves they've made, and I like the way this group is seemingly fitting together and coming together. For sure, some questions and more questions than there have been on that with that group in a long time with the Steelers. But we thought there were no questions last year, and obviously there should have been a lot of questions going into last season, as it turned out with the O-line. So I don't know. I really like what the Steelers are doing, the way they are continuing to be aggressive here in the offseason in terms of looking at elements that can help the football team now and help them fill in some gaps. And we'll see. You never know what any season is going to bring, but I really do like what this team is pulling together.
I can't wait to cheer against them, Ironhead. Just my personal opinion.
I hear you. Before the Eagles, Goon, I mean, it's obviously, I don't know, terminology you want to use it in the NFL, rebuilding or whatever, but it does feel like this is an important season to take that next step forward. Whatever that next step forward looks like in that division, I don't know, but it's an important season here for the Eagles. Again, I don't think the same type of pressure that the Steelers feel in terms of you got to win now, but Hurts is
huge. I mean, it's its second year, so it's gonna be all right. Did we make the right decision in drafting you in the second round and getting rid of Carson Wentz? I mean, that's what ended up happening in the long run.
Yeah.
It's up to him to see. I like him. I mean, I'm on record as saying he's my favorite college football player of all time.
Yeah.
I love the way he handled himself in college. Does that mean you're going to be a great NFL quarterback? I don't know. Most likely not, but I'm sure as hell rooting for him. I mean, I think they gave him some pieces. I mean, it's up to the offensive line. I just, the Eagles-Steelers game's on.
Yeah.
It just ended. The Eagles had 14 different starting offensive line combos last year. That's insane.
That is insane.
16 games, 14 different starting rotations. I mean, that's unbelievable. And the fact that somebody kept a stat on that, and 1981 was the last time that a team had that many different starting rotations. But
no,
that's unfreaking believable. 14. And that's not because guys were, stinking. It's because guys were getting hurt.
Yeah.
And then it was just really, really bad. Every football team we can talk about, how's their offensive line going to be? It's going to lead the team. If their offensive line has to be the catalyst of the Eagles' offense, and then the Eagles' D line is they spent the most money on their D line, so they better come to play this year. And I think that they're going to do a lot better than people are thinking. Again, I have feeling that Jalen Hurts he's a winner, dude. He knows how to win games, so we shall see.
Yeah, that division is going to be interesting. I know it's been the butt of jokes, but it feels
not
like
for long.
Yeah, it feels like all four of those organizations are taking
Ron Rivera is
forward,
an absolutely
right? For sure.
underappreciated head coach in the NFL. I mean, he's got werewolves playing D line for them right now.
Yeah,
he's going to know how to get those guys going.
Yeah,
it's very impressive what he's doing. And I think that the Giants are, they're running a tough camp up there. They're building a program up there. So we shall see.
Yeah, I think that team is coming. Again, I don't know that this year is necessarily the year where they turn the corner, but they are building the nucleus for something to really develop here over the next.
And the Cowboys watching Hard Knocks. It's always fun to watch that. I don't know. I don't know. I think that Ezekiel Elliott, I think he's stoned 24/7. He just walks around like he's high as hell all the time, and he's always laughing and joking and stuff like that. But Prescott, I'm very impressed with his. I don't think he's a bullshitter out there. I don't think he's like, oh, put me in, coach, put me in. I think he legitimately wants to be out there, and he's mad that he's not out there. That's a competitor, and that's what you want in your guys. So we shall see. I think their defense is a little small. They get beat up in the NFC East a little bit, but we'll see.
Michael Parsons is going to be a difference maker.
Woo, baby. He's making the plays out there. He's making some fans out there, too. I don't know if Dan Quinn really likes him. I think Dan Quinn's going to tell him to shut the hell up finally. Like, dude, it's preseason. You got 2 more games. Relax. You're going to have enough plays this year. Don't worry.
Folks, we hope you enjoy the weekend. Good to have the Dear Goon back in person. We'll be back again on Tuesday. Until then, be good and be safe.
Hello.
Lion Country Kia is offering exceptional deals on your new Kia during Kia's Command the Season event.
We have a nice selection on the 2021 Kia Sportage with various options and prices as low as $26,800, saving you $3,000. Or if you demand big power and towing capacity, slip into one of the 2021 Kia Sorrentos available on our lot, starting at $32,680.
Discover why Kia drivers throughout the area come to Lion Country Kia or visit online at lioncountrykia.com.
Quaker Steak and Lube is throwing open the garage doors and setting up the umbrellas. It's patio season. Come enjoy great food, drinks, and fun in the sun. There's always something happening at Quaker Steak and Lube, but we're really amping up our event calendars for our favorite time of year. Visit thelube.com to find out what's happening at your local Lube this season. Lunch, happy hour, dinner, or late night, indoors or outside, at Quaker Steak and Lube, you'll always find big flavors, friendly faces, and lots of fun.
Hi, Johnny Broom here. If you're in the market for a new Hyundai or a pre-owned car, truck, van, or SUV, nobody beats a Blaze Alexander deal. But don't take my word for it.
Hey, Goon says tell him Johnny sent you.
Hey, tell him Johnny sent ya.
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Wait, tell him Juan or tell him Johnny sent you?
Tell him Johnny sent you.
Here at Bill Pickles Tapper, and we say,
Tell him Johnny sent you.
And remember,